Hi friends, this is going to be a little bit of a different video from me today. Usually I'm talking about the creative side of what I do, but today I'm going to share a little bit with you about the business side of what I do. I know that a lot of you are interested, and I think in the current climate of the creator economy, as it's so called, it may be useful to a lot of you to know exactly how I make money and where the largest part of my income comes from. Something I won't be doing today is sharing exact figures, and that is for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm a pretty private person. I don't really talk about my finances with anybody. And secondly, because it can be very easy to kind of misconstrue the amount of income that someone has coming in without considering all of the possibilities. For example, the total revenue of my business, what I actually get to keep of that amount is less than half. And so it can be easy for someone to say that their business is making a huge amount of money, and this happens on YouTube a lot. People will talk about making, I don't know, let's just say $2 million, but they don't actually mention that behind that amount of money there is a team that has to be paid, there's advertising, there's all kinds of fees, there's products to buy, there's tax to be paid, there's just so much to it. So rather than talk about figures, I'm going to talk about income streams, and I currently happen to have 11 income streams. So at the moment, I would say that the creator economy is looking a lot less optimistic than it was. If you're wondering what I mean by the creator economy, I'm talking about basically people like me who make content and put it online, and that's how we make our living. For me, that comes from a creative perspective. So whatever content that I am doing is usually something to do with either weaving or other fiber arts. It's a very creative business, and it's a really hard time for online content creators in general, but I think especially in the creative field, and in particular people who are selling their handmade creative pieces. Because of the world situation at the moment, the conflicts, the inflation, a lot of our perhaps former customers just don't have the disposable income anymore to be investing in what we do. And so that was one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about my income streams, is because I wanted to make the point of saying that it's really important to have diversified income when you're an online creator. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to have 11 streams of income like I happen to have at the moment. But just that it's great to not have all of your income coming from one particular place that could at some point end up being taken away from you, could no longer be viable, and all those things that you need to think about. Okay, so let's go through my 11 income streams, and although I'm not mentioning specific figures, I am going to do them in order of what makes the most income to what makes the least. My largest income source is my online weaving school, which is hosted at Teachable. At the weaving school, I have online courses available to buy as single courses, and I also have memberships. And it's the memberships that are the real bread and butter of my business because they are a recurring income. Some of the memberships are monthly, some are 6 monthly, and others are yearly. Whatever the case, it allows me to have a little bit more of an idea of how my business is going to make money over the year by having that reliable recurring income. I've had the weaving school for 7 years now, and this past financial year is the first year that the weaving school has not increased in overall revenue. The number of registered users is still increasing day by day, but that's not being necessarily reflected in increased income. And I think that is, as I said, because just where things are at the world at the moment. I do see a lot of people saying online, especially here on YouTube, telling people to go out and make online courses. And while online courses have been fantastic for me, in particular the membership side, The business grew out of a demand that was already there. I never had the idea of making online courses or having memberships or having an online weaving school, anything like that 7 years ago. I was just sharing a few videos on YouTube, but the demand grew for there to be something more than just YouTube. And also anyone who tries to make their full-time income from YouTube, you'll figure out very quickly that it's next to impossible to do. I know some people do it, but they are a minority. My second source of income is designing. So I design patterns like this scarf you see me wearing right here. I put them in paper, digital format, and then I sell them on to students and customers like you. I've also branched out in recent years into writing ebooks, which I really enjoy, and they are all around the topic of weaving. I do have one machine knitting pattern at this point. I plan to increase those as well. Very occasionally, I also sell actual physical kits along with a pattern. I was doing that quite a number of years ago before everything went pear-shaped. And then when things went pear-shaped, it was getting too hard to post things. It was getting very expensive to ship things out, especially when I was doing international shipping. So now I only offer kits very occasionally. Since 2008, I've been an Etsy user, and so that was where I hosted most of my digital patterns and ebooks to download. And this year I branched into having Shopify. I wanted to move away from Etsy a little bit more, and I've talked about that just a teensy bit in other videos. There's lots of reasons why I wanted to do that, but the main reason being I wanted to have my own shop on the internet where I get to control it. So you can now find my Shopify shop at kellycasanovaddesigns.com. And how the digital downloads work is that the customer comes in, they buy through a shopping cart. It's a fairly simple process, and then they get emailed the pattern or the ebook that they've purchased. Again, I've seen people online saying get into selling digital downloads and ebooks. And again, that was not my intention to begin with. It's something that grew from demand. And it's another way that I get to make income from something that I'm truly passionate about. The third income source is YouTube. Now I've put this as my third income source, but this really does fluctuate. And sometimes I'll make more from the other income sources that I'll mention after this. But because it's fluctuating, I just put them all in a row. So from YouTube, you would be very, very familiar that you earn money from Google AdSense. That's why you see ads throughout my videos. And as I already mentioned, you make a very small amount of income per 1,000 views or something like that. And that adds up at the end of the month. I've never made all that much money from YouTube. And even though my subscriber count increases and I'm doing okay with views, the income that I get from YouTube doesn't really change all that much because it is dependent on what advertisers are willing to pay at various times. And so you're kind of at the mercy of the advertisers. However, YouTube has been instrumental in the making of my business, and it still leads a lot of people over to the weaving school who want a little bit more information, who want detailed classes and all of those good things that I offer there. The fourth stream of income that I have is from my blog. You'll find my blog at kellycasanovadweavinglessons.com. And again, this doesn't make a huge amount of money, but it does help me to cover the yearly fees that I have for blog hosting and for all of the other things that you need in order to run a blog. And then the other benefit it has, of course, is it leads people again to my weaving school, to my patterns. And besides all that, I think it's a really valuable asset for my students or for anyone in my audience, because there's just so much information there. I've got over 1,000 articles there available. And if you really want to learn about weaving, it's a really good place to go. The fifth income stream that I have is affiliate income. And this is basically recommending products that I use to my audience that I think that they might also like to use. Then if they use my link and go and purchase, then I get a small, usually very small commission from that. So currently, as an example, I'm an affiliate for the Woolery in Kentucky, Revolution Fibers in the US, Amazon. Here in Australia, I'm an affiliate for Thread Collective. And then I'm also an affiliate for some of the programs that I use, like Teachable and Convertkit. Again, this is not a huge income stream for me, but depending on the month and what people are purchasing, it can add up to be a fair amount, and it's definitely worth doing. And it's a great way to share things that I'm using with my audience. It makes it easier for them because they can watch a class or they can watch me in a YouTube video, and I can say, hey, I got this thing from here and I got this other thing from there, and you can also get it from there if you want to. My sixth income stream is one that I just started recently and I'm really excited about and I'm really enjoying. And that's a little bit of advice I would give to anyone in business as well. You have to be passionate about what you're doing. You have to enjoy it, or it becomes a complete drudgery. This one I'm really excited about because from the beginning, whatever kind of business I'm in, I want to be authentic and I want to help people. And through my weaving business, I do really feel like I've done that. But now through this new product, which is a paid newsletter, it's called the Open Heart newsletter, and it's a fortnightly newsletter that is a paid newsletter. First time I've ever done a paid newsletter, and I'm charging a very low monthly fee. If you're interested in knowing more about the newsletter, I'll have links down below for it. But basically, I put out this newsletter fortnightly. For me personally, I've made this newsletter from a very Christian perspective, and it's sharing more of my life, my thoughts, things that I'm doing, things that I'm thinking about and that I really want to share with other people. It's a newsletter that is totally for me, but it's totally for you as well at the same time, which makes it kind of a perfect thing to be doing. And I really enjoy writing that newsletter, putting it together. I put in snippets of photos from around my homestead, from around where I live, from the things that I'm doing, and I put in snippets of video. For example, next week's newsletter has a song that I've recorded where I'm playing the guitar and singing. Hey, who cares if my guitar playing is not quite up to scratch? I really enjoy doing it, and I think everyone on the newsletter list will enjoy listening to it. So yeah, it's really fun to be doing something new, and I've gotten so much positive feedback that has just affirmed for me that this is something that I need to be doing at this time and is a really good thing for all of us. My seventh stream of income is writing and designing for magazines. This is also something that I haven't been doing for a really long time, but I have done quite a bit of it in the past year or so. This is also something that I really enjoy. If I'm writing an article, I get to write about what I'm passionate about, which is weaving, but I get to write about all different aspects of it. For example, I've written about photography for weavers using a phone. I've written about weaving croquebrod on little looms. I have designed a croquebrod project for a magazine. And I've had a number of other projects in a couple of different magazines as well. This is a more sporadic source of income because obviously I'm not doing this every single week or every single month. It's just something that I pick up here and there if I get an invitation to do it or if I get an opportunity to do it. My eighth income source, which is also kind of a sporadic one, is doing online workshops. Now, I've done online workshops in the past for my weaving school students and for my members, and I've done some workshops that I've made available for free as well. But these workshops that I'm talking about now are ones that I am asked to do online, usually by a weaving guild or some sort of weaving group. This is something that I've just branched into this year, and I've completed one workshop and I have another one coming up later in the year. These are something that take quite a bit of work to put together, but it's very rewarding because you get to do them live. So you're presenting to real live people, whereas me, I'm used to pre-recording everything and sticking it on the internet and having people consume it that way. It's quite different and really interesting actually presenting to live people. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for someone like me who's a bit more introverted. but it's a great confidence builder, and so far the audience has been terrific, and it's just a lovely experience. My 9th income source is very occasionally I do sell my handmade items, usually something that I have either woven or knitted on my knitting machine. Before the weaving school ever started, I was what I would consider a handmade seller. I did weave things to sell. But then once I started posting videos on YouTube and the demand for the weaving school came and grew and grew and grew, that sort of overtook everything. And so it's very rare now for me to sell my handmade pieces, but very occasionally I will. My 10th income source is another one that has just started up just this past month actually, and that is income from Facebook. Who would have thought that you would ever get paid to make posts on Facebook? I never did, that's for sure. That opportunity came along, and so I said, okay, I'm posting on Facebook anyway. If you want to pay me to do it, I'm happy with that arrangement. So this is a really tiny amount. In my first month, I made maybe $5.60 or something like that. It's very, very small amounts of money. Maybe that will increase in time, maybe it won't. But as I said, I don't have to do anything extra for it, so why not? My 11th stream of income, and this one is the last because it is also the least. It makes me the least amount of money these days. And in fact, I've even considered just doing away with it and closing it down, and that is my merch store. So a little while ago, a couple of years ago, it was kind of all the rage if you were a YouTuber to have a merch store. Everyone was talking about merch store, sell merchandise. And so I thought that I would give that a try. And my store is over at what was formerly known as Teespring and now is just known as Spring. But I have things like mugs there with my weaving photography on it. I have some printed bags there, I have some printed banners, things like that. To be honest, I barely ever make a sale there. I have made a very small amount of money there. And when you do sell an item, like say a mug or whatever, you're making extremely small amounts on it. And so I'm not really sure whether it's worth continuing at this point. I haven't shut it down right now because it doesn't really take me any effort to run the store. It is fully automated, so if someone goes in and makes an order, the store basically takes care of all of that, and that's why they're taking such a large cut and I'm getting such a small cut. But I think probably my audience has shown me by their lack of enthusiasm in purchasing my merchandise that it's probably not something that's worth doing because there's just not enough interest. And that's fine because, you know, as an entrepreneur, that's what you do. You try things out, you see what works, you go with what works, and you leave behind what doesn't work. So I've been through all of my current income streams, all 11 of them. There's one though that I want to mention that I don't currently have, but I do really want to have, and that is sponsorships. For years now, I've been hoping that there would be some businesses that would align with my values and my interest group here on YouTube and would like to sponsor my videos. So far, the only kind of sponsorships that I have taken up were where I was paid in product, not in income. But what I've found is that when you undertake a sponsorship, it is quite a bit of work to present the product in the way that the company wants it presented and that kind of thing. And at the end of the day, as a business, I'm more interested in generating income than I am in having more stuff, if you know what I mean. Of course, if the product really does align with my brand and my audience, then I would consider taking more product for payment. But at this stage, I would way prefer income as sponsorship. I've tried a little bit to gain some sponsorships, but I take rejection personally. And so for that reason, I tend not to put myself out there as much as some other entrepreneurs might, because I just really don't like to be rejected. I feel like if someone says no, then it's because they don't like me or they don't like something about what I do. But what I've found a lot actually is that I don't even get no's, I just get crickets, like nothing. if I send an email to a company and present myself and offer and propose a collaboration for a sponsorship, I usually just get nothing at all. They just completely ignore me. What's worse, a no or being ignored? I don't know. I don't like being ignored either. And so that's another reason I don't put myself out there as much. But sponsorships for YouTube would be fantastic, because that would mean for you as an audience, I could actually come here more often and make more videos, because I would actually be paid for it. It would be much more worth my time. And from the business perspective, they would get to share their products with a fairly large audience that is really interested in weaving and fiber arts. Anyway, I'm going to sit on that one. If any businesses are watching and you think you would like to sponsor my videos here on YouTube, please get in touch. I'm all ears. Well, although this was a very different video from me today, I am just as passionate about business as I am about many other things in life, and I love to share with all of you the things that I'm passionate about. So I hope that you got maybe some ideas. I hope it was just interesting, or maybe you're just one of my super cool people who like spending time with me. And if that's the case, I thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you so much. And until next time, happy weaving.